And there it is. All righty, Johnny, we are live. So, welcome
Fantastic.
everyone to the Clout Forum. This is actually the finale of season one, which we were going to try and sneak in with our very special guest today, Johnny Blue Eyes. So we got it in today. So, Johnny, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I am coming back from a boys' weekend, so running low on fuel, like I told you. But wanted to say thank you so much for having me on on your show. Really appreciate being there. I'm excited to talk about this. Yep, very excited
Awesome,
to
man.
talk about BitClout.
Nah, and we really appreciate, like I've said to you in messages as well. You've come onto the platform with such a great energy, and I jumped onto TikTok and had a look at what you're getting up to, and not only do you have a so your following's around, was it just short of 900,000
Yeah,
on
yeah,
TikTok,
exactly.
which
800
is
and
so we'll dive.
something.
I think it was like 880 something. I was sitting there going, that's pretty close to 900. We smashed it along here. So how long have you been on TikTok for?
I started back in February 2020, so it's been over just a year and a half, over a year and a half. And
Nice.
it's been a fun ride. It's been a inconsistent ride. Sorry, but
Yeah.
it's been a fun ride. I've learned a lot along the way, and like anything else, you just got to start and be consistent.
Well, I mean, already, man, that's a pretty incredible achievement, within that time frame. And so that would have been just before kind of the whole COVID chaos and madness kicked off, huh?
Yeah, well, it was pretty much in the midst for Canada because my role, and I know you posted kind of a bio about myself. So I'm a global account executive for Dell Computers, and so my job required me to travel a lot. And basically, uh, work said we are not allowing our employees traveling anymore. You're all grounded. And my schedule was pretty packed. Like I was traveling every other week at minimum, mostly in Canada, within Canada, but sometimes overseas, sometimes in the US. So I was pretty busy. And I'm a social person. I like to be around people and have fun. And so for me, you put me in a basement on a computer, it's not where I excel. So
Mm.
I decided, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee. I was watching one of his podcasts. I've been hearing him talking about this TikTok thing, TikTok thing, TikTok thing. And now I had, time on my hands, missing out on some social connection. So I'm like, you know what? I've never been on social media. Why don't I try it out? So that's how pretty much how it all started. Yeah.
So is this like literally your kind of first adventure in social media was coming into TikTok and
Never was on Instagram. I mean, I was posting my kid stuff. I was on Facebook and, you know, yeah. So then I just started with navigating TikTok, starting to post. I had no idea how to do it. You and I just had this little chat about my first interaction on the platform, which is still on there. If you scroll all the way down, I think I'm at around 700 videos now. You're gonna see my first video, which is I'm doing a handbrake donuts in the middle of the winter, and I think I got like 100 views on it. And that's how it all started. I didn't know what I was doing.
uh, what car was it in?
Oh, it was my we call it the winter beaters here because we use those in the winter and then park them in the summer. So it was a Pontiac vibe, like one of those like very poor car, but hey, it gets me to A to B. So that's all it needs.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, it's here in, I'm in Western Australia myself, and there's a massive car culture here, and yeah, I've got plenty of mates that would have been doing the same, but I don't think they've realized that they've got a social world of social media,
Yeah.
just waiting for it. So it started with doing burnouts in the car, and then so what was the evolution like? I mean, as you went in, did you have a plan, or were you kind of just
No,
responding to just what came forward?
no, I just, I just started. I can't say I had a plan. When you say plan for me, I'm hearing tactic, but it's, I did have somewhat of a strategy or an idea of what I wanted to do. I'm not very young. My wife and my kids, and well, not my kids because they're a little too old, but my parents are like, "What are you doing on this teenager platform?" And I'm like, well, I don't know. I want to have fun. And then I want to help people. I'm at an age where, I've gained knowledge in a lot of aspects of my life. So I've said, and I think in my bio as well, is that I'm not only like an account executive for Dell, but I'm also an angel investor. I've had startups. I had I've been around, and you've learned things. And at one point, you got to think, I want to share this with the rest of the world. Like I want, you want to help
Yeah.
others. So that was kind of my goal. And also, once in a while I come up with stuff about bullying, because I was badly bullied at school. I was one of those kids where, one person in particular was just like pushing me on the closets, pushing me around and all this stuff and running me with fear. And, a lot of people are not, especially at a teenage age, you can't figure out that the problem is not yourself, right? So I kind of wanted
Yeah.
to share that message because I was on a teenagers platform. Like, you know what, I can use this knowledge and make teenagers feel better about the fact that it's not their fault. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just, other people around have not had a very happy life. They weren't raised maybe in the right circumstances and the right context. And so, that's what happens. So that was kind of my strategy, or not my strategy, but the
The
idea.
intention.
Exactly, the intention.
Yeah.
And then I just started to post. This is what interesting when you start on social media. A lot of people have fear of posting or doing things because they fear of judgment. What if my family or my friends find and I've used maybe the wrong words, or I don't show in their perspective, and then they make comments. That's really hard. Like that's usually the number one roadblock of stepping on social media, is like, what are the other people going to think, right? I was very fortunate in my life because I had people around me that were at one point after the bullying in my career, I had good managers that taught me about self-confidence and self-worth. And that's how, now I was just filming myself. And yeah, those videos were ridiculous, but it got me where I am right now. I just kept going.
Man, it's beautiful to hear. And because when you first came onto TikTok, you really stood out to me. And one of the things that stood out is because I've got a company called Live Your Genius. And so my work is all about really just what you're talking about here, like overcoming this, taking life so personal, right? That people around you, that it's personal. And I could feel in all of your posts that you had that care, you had that genuine compassion. And so that's why straight away I was like, whoever this guy is, I love him. When checked out your TikTok, and then I saw just how, like, on top of it, over that time, you really have developed, gone for it. That's what blows my mind when you say you've kind of first time in, and now you're one of the great guides on TikTok that, you even gave me a kind of, because I've had similar kind of things. I was like, oh, I'll be on TikTok, but I felt a bit like I didn't know really, is this, and then I watched your videos. And as I was watching your videos and your little guides, and you just made it feel easy. You made it feel possible. Plus, you just had this kind of energy, which is almost like, your own cheering squad there saying, go on, go do it. Jump on, So, no, it's magic what you're bringing. It's magic what you're bringing to the table. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah,
So,
that was the thing. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's like,
no, please.
you got to remember the context. This was when everybody stopped having a social life. And now I realize, I helped others to get there. And I know I can talk about it because there's always comments in my comment sections, like, dude, like you really helped me to like do this. And it's not to like, yeah, it's a feel good moment. It's not to promote me myself, but it's more about like, I did help others to get through COVID because they were having now a somewhat of a social, they had a hobby basically, that was sharing with the rest of the world. So that's how I convinced myself and others, especially my wife, of like letting me have that time. Yeah,
that's a good point. Actually, how does your wife see it? Because you're a family man, as you say, and
yes.
we're not spring chickens. I'm very similar to myself. I just turned 40. As I think I mentioned that message.
We're the same age. Yeah.
There you go. So what's how does she see it, and how do your kids see it? What you do?
I have a very, very good mate because I'm one of those person. It's funny because I was listening to Gary Vee actually yesterday, morning as I was watering myself out of a headache. I was listening to him, and he's like an entrepreneur because someone in the audience asked, uh, is it wrong? Am I spreading myself too thin because I'm doing so many things? And the conventional idea is yes, and I kind of agree. It depends on the personality, but a person like Gary Vee, his brain never stops, right? It never stops, and he goes, I'm going to be a wine. I'm going to invest into wines. I'm going to be doing NFTs. I'm going to do marketing. I'm going to do like all of this. I'm going to write a book. That's how an entrepreneur thinks. And I'm a little bit like this. Like I will. Just an anecdote. When my first daughter was born, I took 8 weeks off work. And, here I thought that was going to be, yes, we were busy, but, I'm the dad. The mom was really busy. I was like helping out and making sure, doing my part. But one point, it's like I had nothing to do. So I started to learn PHP and JavaScript. And then I really got into trying to understand like how does trading bots work. And so I started to make this in parallel. I started to really get a passion into how to make pizza and pizza dough and wood oven. Like that's my type of personality. So back to your question about how did my wife take when I stepped on TikTok? It was just one of the other projects, billionaire projects that I have. Yeah. So she thinks I'm
Fantastic.
crazy, but she's like, I still love you.
It's the crazy she fell in love with, I assume.
That's it. That's it.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. So, all right. So now that's your TikTok journey, how you came to TikTok. And what's really cool about this is, I think there can be that assumption, that this is for the young people, it's for the crazies. And sometimes, when I first ever jumped on TikTok, I mean, it was pretty inappropriate what's coming up on that screen. Sometimes It's like, Jesus, these teenagers are going nuts, right? And it feels a bit like you're going into a young kids club at first. And it was my brother that got me to look a bit closer, say, no, but if you look closer, there's actually great little life hacks. There's all kinds of amazing things on there. So it's quite a platform that you've kind of found there. And it's great to see you've come from a very entrepreneurial type background into TikTok as opposed to just, the full crazy. Now, how did you discover BitClout? Like when did you discover BitClout for the first time? When did you hear about it? And by the way, please be as open as you like.
Of course.
No need to.
Oh, I don't hide things. That's not me.
Great.
I'm very.
We're gonna get along fine.
There we go. When did I hear about BitClout and how did I get there? I heard about BitClout maybe. Well, it's at least 57 or 58 days or something like that ago because I opened the account, but I never did anything with it. So that must have been 2 months ago I heard about it, or two and a half months ago I heard about it. I never heard about that concept of decentralized social media and tokenization and of social media, and it piqued my interest. So why did I get on BitClout is because, two reasons mainly. So I've been an investor in cryptocurrency since 2017, the early age, not really, but still, fairly earlier. My first Bitcoin was actually, I think it was $1,020. I had bought like 10 of them. Oh, I wish.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell me you didn't buy a pizza with them.
Well, no, I bought big. No, I didn't buy. But when the market crashed back down to 3,000, my wife was like, "Okay, you're crazy, but now this is like our livelihood. That's our family. Don't go too far on that one." So I kind of pulled a bit of my investment out. I still have a bit, and then recently I just got back on it. So learning about DeFi, learning about NFTs, learning about decentralization. And as now you probably have figured out, I'm a very curious person from nature, and I'm also very adventurous. So I saw this article about social media now. Oh, actually, I saw this article from Twitter, from TechCrunch, that was talking about Twitter and Blue Sky. And I'm like, holy crap, this is getting real. This is getting real. And so now I step back on BitClout. I'm like, I got to figure out this thing. I got to figure out this thing because I'm going to miss it. So I started to, work with BitClout and, starting to post. And then I can't remember their names, but one of the brothers, they're fairly popular on the
Oh,
platform.
Krasenstein?
Yes,
Krasenstein
there we
twins?
go.
Yeah,
He had
they're great.
messaged me. He had messaged me back in on my first post, actually. So almost like 50 days ago or something like this on Instagram. He's like, "Hey, is this your real account?" It went into because I received messages quite a bit. So I didn't pay attention to it until just recently. And I replied to him. I said, yes. And then at the same time, I saw the article. And so I started to post. And then I realized the mechanism behind. I'm starting to figure out a little bit how how it works, how it's connected with
Yeah.
decentralized applications that can develop on the platform, with NFTs, with the tokenization of social media, and the investment aspect of it is fascinating. But it's not just the aspect of it from an investor perspective, but also from a creator perspective. I don't know where this thing is going, but when you mix the DeFi's with tokenization, things like this, why wouldn't there be the possibility of stacking as you guys are buying into Johnny Blue Eyes and I'm receiving a commission? Why wouldn't there be all of a sudden a method for me to stack it so that it creates clouts that I can then pay myself? So and that's just one aspect of now. Right now, we're talking about the financial aspect of the platform, but it really piqued my curiosity. So
Absolutely. Well,
hopefully,
I
I
mean,
didn't
it's one of
talk
the
too much.
honestly, Johnny, you can keep going as much as you need. I'm loving this. It's really nice to recognize that adventure in you, because it's and I feel like with BitClout, because anyone watching this live stream, if you haven't seen BitClout before, it can be a little bit like confusing when you first get there, and people have said, oh, we need it to look like this, we need it, and it's like, yes, absolutely, there's going to be refinements, things will get cleaner,
It's
it will
going to
get
take
easier
time.
to understand, but it's one of those things that we're dealing literally with a reimagining of social media, and blockchain, and just how we do life, economics, politics,
Yep.
everything, these kinds of things. It's not just BitClout. There's a lot of innovations happening around the world along these lines, right? And with
Absolutely.
that comes a whole new language. And so it's going to take time for people to get used to it. And one of the analogies that's being thrown around a bit recently, I wish I could remember who said it in one of the interviews, but it was like, it's like there's we said a party, but it's almost like there's a festival. And, don't know if you've ever been to a festival like a week before where you're part of the prep crew and you got to kind
Yep.
of,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Everyone's running around.
it's the
There's that
build up.
bonding happening. Yeah, the build up, there's a tight community, and you're kind of the behind the scenes crew. So when the festival happens, you're kind of like really getting just to enjoy it, right? And it's kind of like that now at BitClout, right? It's like the early days of the festival. Like we've only just got the pickets in, everyone's pitching in. It's like, I don't care who you are, how famous you are. It's like, go grab some pickets. We've got to get this festival ready, right? Because in the end, if it's not ready, the people won't come. And then as people are coming, some people are coming a little bit early to the festival and getting a little bit like, oh, I don't know what to do here. Where's all the drinks? Where's all the lights? It's like, yeah, that's next week. So it's awesome to see someone like you that has that character that, I've seen how much you are pitching in already straight off the bat. As soon as you started engaging, it's, and one of the most beautiful things is I've seen it on your TikTok as well, the way you engage in your comments. I think that
It's
there's a
the
genuineness
whole.
to that.
It's basically how I get where I got, was creating that concept, the structured video concept where I'm replying to comments, right? And when you think about the idea of creating a platform or having a brand that helps other, well, you got to care about your audience and their comments and their questions. So that's exactly, that's how it needs to work.
Yeah.
One of
So
the most important thing, because I talked about financing the financial aspect of the platform, but I think what attracted me to BitClout just a few days after coming in, it felt TikTok now is big, and there's a lot of changes on the platform. But when I joined, we had like an OG, like we had original group of people that were just hanging out together, and we were just starting. Yes, it was already kind of big in 2020, but it's still very early. And it was raw material, really good material. Still trying to find, what everybody's doing, finding their space. And, over time we started to see like, oh, there's like food cooking channels, there's hand dancing channels. I've never seen that in my life, but it's an art. There's people that do that. Started to see, today, anyways, but that's what BitClout is to me right now. It's like it's the birth of a social platform, and it's the real platform. I mean, unfortunately, the large creators or the large social media players are going to come in, and I'm really hoping they don't screw it. They don't screw this platform, because sometimes when you have a mass adoption, you lose a little bit of that genuinity. And so, stepping in here, I'm like, I feel at home. I feel like I'm surrounded by genuine people. And man, like the welcoming package, and I wrote it a few times, the welcoming package was awesome. Like, let me know if you need help yourself. You asked me several times, are you okay? Like, do you need help? Do you want, and it's not because I didn't want to take your help. It's just, I'm one of those people that I need to test and fail and test and fail. I've asked a few people a few questions, but that's basically it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I got to say, Johnny, it's been, because I've been on here about, I tell you, time on BitClout, it really does. We were saying before, it's like dog years, it's like a month on here is like a year out anywhere else. And, but I think it's been about 4 months, a bit about almost 150 days, whatever that is. And when I came on, I was on Facebook. I had about a 9,000, not a huge following, but just for my work and things. And
for Facebook, that's big.
Yeah. And to be honest, I was feeling a bit overtouched. I was feeling like it was just too many things to too many people and these different things. And it was feeling a bit like, just, and then when I came into BitClout, it was like just that immediate connection with people, that human nature again, and that fun of an adventure of like, no one knows what's going on here. And there was a real bonding that happened. We got to be part of something. And I thought, no matter what happens to this platform, I even was one of the crazies that went and got it tagged, before it went live, right? And awesome. And people sit, and you can imagine my mates, like I'm sure you can appreciate this with the one that goes out on the edge all the time, right? My mates, my old high school mates, we caught up and they saw this. They went, is that a social media logo? And I was like, it's not a logo. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand about BitClout. No one owns it. It's exactly. It's been birthed by the developers, the core team, Diamond Hands, etc. But every day that goes, it becomes more decentralized, more open, more out into the world. And it was one of those things that I kind of felt, do you know what? Even if it all falls to shit, the connections and the joy and the fun that I've had coming together to be part of deciding. And that's why I got excited when you came on to see someone with the spirit that you have, because I thought these are the people that get to decide how we set the foundations for this, because we're building this together, right? Which is pretty incredible.
Absolutely. Very.
So what do you think? Have you got any? Sorry, no, you go, Johnny.
No, it's just, you're absolutely right about human connections and writing the books, basically.
Yeah, right. So what's your feelings and thoughts for, have you kind of felt into what you want to be doing on BitClout?
I think it's going to take time. Having gone through this experience with TikTok, I mean, when I started on TikTok, I had 0 followers, then grew pretty much to, I'd say maybe 10,000 followers. And I started to experience with, I've never done videography or nothing. And then I self-taught myself. I went on YouTube, watched some videos, and then I started to do transitions. And someone asked me, they're like, how do you do this? And that was like about 4 months in the platform. I had grown to, like, in 4 months from January 2020, early February, until pretty much April or May. I've grown steadily, decently, but not like great. I mean, it's good. It's 10,000 people. I always see and I'm going on a tangent here, but I think people pay a little too much attention to numbers, because think about 10,000 people in a room or in a stadium that are watching a show. That's a lot of people. I'm sorry. It's a lot of people. even so, I do presentation for work. When there's 150 people in a room, I'm sweating a bit. I'm like, am I going to screw up? Right. But anyways,
Yeah.
my point is I got to that 4th month and someone asked me like, how did you do this transition? So I made a video that was about a minute long, and man, did I rush to put all of this information into a minute long video because there's a lot of details. So I managed to do it, posted it. People loved it. It went up to 1,000,002 in I think 24 hours, million 200 views or something like this in just 24 hours. So
Wow.
then I realized, oh, there's something here. And not a lot of people were doing this on the platform at that point or at that time. There was another girl in the US that I saw anyways. Jara Bean, anyway, she's a huge influencer. She was named one of the top 10 anyways in the US. So I started to do this one more. Like I did another transition. When I say transition, it's like, you throw your clothes on the floor, and then right now there's actually a TikTok trend. You throw your clothes on the floor and all of a sudden you appear in them. So that's kind of a transition. It looks freaky. It teases the eyes, right?
Yeah.
So I was making the video of it and then the tutorials. And I'm like, wow, people really, really, really love this. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should start to be serious about this, be a bit more serious and put some thought process about what I want to do. And this is how I got to now giving tips. And you can see the progression on my page because I've left all the videos there. Now I started
Yeah.
to give tips. These didn't do so well. So I'm like, I'm testing around, going around, testing around. And I literally sat down, draw a plan. And I'm like, you know what? I know the first 3 to 4 seconds are crucial. So I got to create a concept where I'm saying something the first 3 or 4 seconds is going to hook you. And then I was thinking, people are asking me a lot of questions on the platform, and this reply to comments via video is here. So why don't I use this? So that's how I created the TikTok 101s, which are basically the basics of the platform. And I always
Mm.
introduce it the same way. I read the comments, and then I say, you got it. And then I just go in with, 15 seconds of how to explain it, and then closure with a follow with a call to action, which is follow and share and follow. And this is how I built it. So long explanation to say about your BitClout. I don't know where I'm going to go with this. Right now, I'm sharing something I'm not able to do on TikTok, which is my personal life a little bit, right? So, and I don't need to hide anything. I just, I told everybody, hey, I got smashed this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Basically, showing my face in pictures and saying, yeah, I'm not feeling so well today. And I kind of miss this. I'm a fun person. I created another account
Mm.
actually, which is in French, but because I like to have fun as well. So right
Yeah.
now, that's what I'm sharing. Will I share something else, in the near future? If you guys come up with ideas, please, share them with me, because right now I'm just kind of having fun, meeting great people, experimenting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everyone, you heard that. So don't overwhelm Johnny too much, though. give him a break while he's on here. But no, I hear you absolutely. And it's interesting because it was a similar experience that I came from. On Facebook, I did a lot of work around personal development, and there's a system
Yeah.
called human design and things like this. So I kind of had built a reputation around the world for these things, but it started to become a bit like, hey, Siri, people just message, hey, what's this? And I'm sitting there, and Facebook I didn't know what to do with that, right? Which is where I got overwhelmed. And I came on here, and in a way, it's the one thing I loved is I came here, no one knew me. I didn't tell anyone who I was. And I
Mm.
came in fresh, and it was so nice just to be myself. And I realized I missed that, just being able to just share everyday things and not have to worry about, is this in brand with this or that? And I noticed that that's what was really successful on BitClout at the moment, especially in the early days, I think, while we're still kind of all
Mhm.
pioneers of it. I think a lot of people don't realize just how early we are, right? Like 5 months, 4 months, 5 months, that's,
It's
barely even your
very
first
early.
contraction. Yeah.
Yep.
But what's really interesting is because you've actually been quite a pivotal moment for me in my contemplations about where I'm going next, right? Because I've kind of been in BitClout. I've been sitting and enjoying that engagement. We've been doing these podcasts, these forums, the community's building, and it feels like we've got a bit of a flow going, and it's feeling comfortable. And TikTok's always been there. just quietly in the background. Not really quietly, actually. It's pretty dangerous. As soon as you
It's pretty
open it, it's hard to
addictive.
get out of that.
Exactly.
It is. And, BitClout has got you can integrate, you can post your TikTok link on there, and there's not that much video content. At least I don't see much of it on BitClout at the moment. It's a little more Twitterish, right?
Yep.
And so that's where I've been sitting there thinking, how can I start maybe using TikTok a little more creatively and having some fun with it, and maybe getting a little bit more of my work stuff back into the place. So I really appreciate that. Even just in you arriving with your presence, it's already started getting my imagination and creativity going. So,
I'm
so I
glad I
really
have this
appreciate
effect. No, that's great.
So, yeah.
And I know you're interviewing me, but I would love to have this conversation with you about what you envision, right? Because I can help and make this happen maybe a little quicker. And happy to talk to you, Mark. I would love to brainstorm.
That'd be awesome, man. That'd be awesome. I'll be taking you up on that. But it's because I mean, this is what I see for the future of where we're going, right? And again, why I love BitClout, the decentralized kind of a place where we can be self-responsible. We can be accountable, right? Where humans are being accountable. It's like you've come on and your coin has already gone up to $200 and something, and it's not because you've paid for anything or you've paid for advertising, but it's because you've earned the clout, right?
Yeah.
You've earned the
and
respect.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting concept that, because as the creator, and I'm sure everybody that's on BitClout feels the same way, I feel like I owe it to the investors and everybody that put a coin. I send them, even the cent. I just send them, thank you for believing in me. That's what I send them that in a message, because it's you investing in me. You've given me even a cent, a dime, like that. You said, hey, I trust this person with my money and I trust that they're going to do well. And that's why. So lesson number one that I learned, if be how to say that, make sure that you're one of the largest. I mean, whales exist everywhere, but make sure that you own a good chunk of your own coin if you are, if you are good with some good intentions, because you don't want someone to come in and literally wreck your coin. So that was lesson number one. And this is why right now I'm kind of buying back that Johnny Blue Eyes. But at one point I'm going to change it, because now it's interesting. I can say, you know what? If you invest in me, I'm going to invest in you back a percentage of it. I'm going to be investing back in the coin so that nobody is going to be able to manipulate too much, unless like it's a very large whale, manipulate too much to coin. So it's only going to go up, and I can pay you dividends for the top investors, something like that. Like, you can be financially creative about how do you want to use that money from your fans, from your followers, from your investors, and say, you know what, I really appreciate that you're investing in me and believing me. Stay along. You're gonna have, your investment is gonna be worth it.
Absolutely. And it's so beautiful to see social media using a positive reinforcement for once, rather than punishment, right? And fear. But it's because it's like, even just, big shout out to Akon. Those on the platform will know him. He's the one that posted, that I saw, shared, Johnny Blue Eyes, this is his real account, and verified it like as much as you could from public. And as soon as I saw that, because that's kind of really the real verification for all of us, is like, when people that are solid on the platform, with blue tick or not, they've earned their clout from being active. And when he said that, it was like, I didn't even have to check. I was like, awesome. Straight away bought some of your coin. I think it was like $80 or something like that. And then all of a sudden, you just saw how quickly, because people recognize, hang on a second, they go look at your TikTok, they see what you're doing, the price goes up. And then what's really interesting is that, like you said, the market mechanism is designed, it incentivizes all of us to, and by the way, people are caring for each other anyway, right? On this platform, because we're in the early stages.
I know we're talking about the financials. There's the whole caring. That's another aspect, the social and more emotional aspect, for sure.
Right. And thankfully we've got an amazing crew. But even if we didn't, even if people come on that may not be of such high integrity in the way they move in the world, or, such switched on emotional awareness, they are financially incentivized, right, to actually help each other out. because
Exactly.
anyone that buys some of your coin, it's in their interest that other people get to see, as long as you've got quality, as long as you're bringing something of value. And that can be art, it can be humor, it can be whatever. And so that's what I love seeing is how everyone just rallies together and just keeps building, keeps supporting, keeps growing. So what's the most interesting thing you've seen on BitClout in the time that you've been jumping around on it?
What is the most interesting? I mean, aside the people that are just fantastic, um, learning about the technology running underneath. And I can't say right now I'd be comfortable talking too much about it because I'm still learning quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating, very fascinating. The potential is endless. And I can see why Twitter is getting, onto this, because it just frees up a little bit of, a lot of constraints that you might have if you're privately owned or publicly owned, in a closed environment architecture.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an open source product, right? It's an open source product, has a huge developer community around it, and it just bubbles up. And I think it's ripe for the generation that is the younger, not me and you, but I think it's ripe for the people that are following us, because they don't like decentralization. This is why cryptocurrency in blockchain in general is thriving, is because this new generation, they don't want those banks. They don't want to be held accountable. It's the freedom of speech. It's the acceptance. It's the diversification. And I think this is how BitClout and those social platforms that are built on decentralized blockchain are going to thrive very much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's absolutely. And I think, I sometimes, I've been big about, decentralization, politics, all these different things. And I was having this conversation yesterday with somebody that it's one of the key problems we have. I mean, we've got trust. Trust is one issue just in general, but then it's centralization of power, right? Like, these characters, whether they're good people or not, the Zuckerbergs and all the rest, the CEOs of these social media platforms, they're creating pinch points, right? They're creating pressure points where, any group of, collected thoughts can come and push that pressure point and try and force it in a direction, right? And no matter how good a person that is, eventually they cave under that pressure in one way or another. Whereas with the decentralization, like you say, it's infinite. The possibilities are open. And it comes down to, just like with Ethereum, where, you actually need to have consensus. If everyone using and engaging has consensus, then it moves that direction. And it's just a whole new way of playing that. I think you're right, that I think maybe others around our generation, but I can see in you, Jonathan, same as that I had, as well as, from a young age, I think I just felt lost. Like, where is this? And now that it's finally here, it's like, and I'm one of the old men in it. What's going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
And I think this is where, I think I wrote a clout where I said, or I don't know if it was public or private, but I'm going to say it anyways. I wrote to someone while we were having a good conversation, short but good conversation, about the fact that I really hope BitClout actually will make it, because there's no question if this type of technology is going to work or not, but we're really in the early stage. And cryptocurrency, blockchain, it's still a controversial topic. It's a controversial topic with a lot of people. I'm probably one of the fortunate that understands cryptocurrency, the technology underneath, because I come from a technology background. I work for Dell Computers, and it's been useful for me to, when you take a look at BitClout, actually is the merge of both of my kind of passions and career that just merged together. I'm a social media person on TikTok, but I'm also, a technologist, and I've invested in cryptocurrency, and I understand the world of cryptocurrency a little bit, just enough to make a bit of profit. And now it's merging all together. So for me, it's just a perfect fit. But for some people, stepping on BitClout, I can see how it can be daunting because there's a lot of things, right? Tokenizations of your name, like, okay, who owns this, right?
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
first thing. It's like, well, hold on a second. Someone can invest. How does that work? I'm not comfortable with this, right? That's a little bit of scare for there's going to be a learning curve, and I think that learning curve is a bit steep for someone that's never experienced either social media or never experienced blockchain. It's a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
I think we're probably at 5 to 10 years, and maybe 10 years is far, but 5 years from mass adoption on this. Hopefully, Twitter is successful with their I mean, with their Blue Sky project. I think a private company to make a decentralized solution, I think they're gonna fail. They're gonna have a hard time. I work for a large company, and I know how that stuff works. Decentralization and open source, if you're not there from the start, it's not in the culture of the company. It's not going to work. So
Yeah.
But all of a sudden people are going to pay attention. You're going to have big names going to pay attention to this technology, and there's going to be a lot of talking about it. And I think, I was really happy personally when I heard about Twitter saying, hey, we're coming up with this decentralized social media. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is really serious here. This is going to be the future. There's no questions about it.
Man, you bring up a really good point, because that's it, because a lot of people can see that kind of thing and think, oh no, here's competition. Now they're going to run with it. They're going to take over and, cash in on, because often, the first movers aren't always the ones that get to win, like MySpace, for example, right? Big mover exactly. In the beginning.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah. Whereas what's really interesting is this is a little bit different, right? Like, and this is where I think a lot of people, when they come on, and I agree with you completely, we're still very early, and anyone that flinches when we say 5 to 10 years, it's like, just remember what we're talking about here. I mean, if BitClout became adopted like Facebook, one BitClout's going to be worth a whole lot of money. Like, this is ridiculously early, right?
Yeah.
So but one of the things I think a lot of people do miss, and this is something where it's great to have people like yourself coming on board that has the capacity to understand it, as well as understand social media and understand the other side of the world, to be those kinds of languages, to be the conversations. Because it's, BitClout is not actually bitclout.com, right? Like that website is proof of concept.
A face. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. It's just one way of using it. And so that's a really hard thing to get their head around, that it's a blockchain. And so you can literally create whatever you like on top of that.
Yeah.
And that's what becomes wild.
You go on GitHub and you get on GitHub and you find the source and you invent whatever. I don't know how this works, like if you need to bid on getting clouds for getting access to it, but I don't know how that works. But it's anybody can develop on it.
But yeah, it's open source. It's all there. You can literally, like, you and I could start up a node right now and say, hey, let's start up a node. Let's call it the TikTok, the TikClout, or some crazy name. And then you just basically design it and you put the functions, you choose the features, you choose how you're going to use those tokens, and you can choose what it looks like and even make it look like TikTok, right? And just have the mechanics underneath. And anyone can do that anytime. So what's really beautiful about this is when people come on and say, oh, it should be like this, it should be like that. It's like, awesome. Gather enough people that feel the same way as you, find some developers, start a coin, sell that coin, crowdfund the money, and off you go.
That's it. You just gave the whole recipe here. No joke. People are listening. They're like, I'm well, sure. No, he gave the whole thing. That's exactly how it works.
And it's just hard to get their head around,
Yeah.
All right, my man. I've just realizing with the time, we're moving on there. So I know Alex has got he always puts together some fun questions and stuff that we're going to ask you. His internet's not solid today, so Alex has popped them through in a message, so we can sort that. And so we'll do that, and hopefully we can. This is season 1. Have you back on and keep keep working together.
I really appreciate it.
That'd be awesome. Yep. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So anyone watching the live stream, if you've got any questions, maybe Alex, you can keep an eye on those things, and if there is any in the chats, just pop them in in the chat here in Zoom. And big shout out to Lisa and Robert, who's joined us live. You've got questions, chuck them in the chat.
Yeah, I kept seeing
All
like
right.
the little bubbles going up, and I'm like, yeah, thank you. This is awesome. A lot of people here just commenting.
Yeah, no, it's I think people generally are grateful. Like this is what I'm loving again, and not to keep on raving about this, man, but it's
Yeah.
for me, it's right. It's just so heart opening, especially, as family men with our kids and everything else, to see this amongst all the noise of all that other shite in the world, that's going on right now, to see that
Yeah.
underneath it, there is this swell of gratitude and good people coming together with vision. So I think people really appreciate it. All right, you ready for some questions? I'm going to hit you with some quick ones first.
Firing them out.
All right. So, yoga or basketball?
Oh, I'm a yoga guy. Yeah. I like to peace a little bit sometimes, and that's my way of thinking, this peaceful and that's my alone time, because my brain, like I said, goes 100 miles an hour. The yoga allows me to like take this away. Basketball would still kept going. My brain would still kept going. It'd be entertaining, but I need my downtime sometimes. So yoga 100%.
I appreciate that, man. Absolutely.
And I'm not flexible at all, so I actually need yoga. I really need it.
Appreciate that. All right, what else we got? Beer, wine, or whiskey?
All three, depending on my moods.
So I take that as a man that enjoys life.
I do, 100%. So I think I had all three of them this weekend. I really into, and back to the community aspect, I really love wine is a bit different because making a winery and investing in wine is right now it's hard. It's really hard to get in. I think beer and whiskey, or I'd say like any spirit like gin or vodka, which is a bit easier process than having barley and wheat and all this stuff like that. That's complicated for whiskeys, right?
Absolutely.
And the aging process, right? So from a financial standpoint, it's easier to make those, bottles of vodka. There's really good communities in beer, and I mean, not to ditch wine, but I think, in the area that I live, beer and those spirits, great people, amazing, passionate people, and that's what I crave, actually. So,
Thanks, Alex. No, it's interesting, John. I think, the community, like you're right, you're touching on as well. It's straight away I can feel it. Like that is what I think what all of us here are loving. And interestingly, you're muted, so we just have to get you unmuted.
And I think there's a difference. It's funny, eh? Like what I'm about to say, I know is wrong. Not wrong, but it's false. But I feel like when you're going to meet the owner of the beer and he tells you how he did the things, that all of a sudden the beer tastes so much better.
Oh man, absolutely, absolutely. Right? And the property I live on here, I'm blessed for like 39 acres of just raw bushland here in Australia in the hills. And the guy that we're renting off, we moved here 4 years ago, Hilton, he actually started a gin distillery. And so I've been there to watch him from the start over 4 years, because he actually wants to make whiskey. But just like you said, well, if you want to make whiskey, you got to get something you can sell straight away. So that's gin, right? And we went to the Distillers Awards on just Friday night, just gone, and went along with him because I helped get it in the bottle shops and around the place for him. And it's an incredible gin. And like you say, just being part of the story. And like he makes these gorgeous copper stills, very, alchemist style. And he's gone from nothing to being like the guy in Australia to get copper stills from, right? Because of the passion and the story. And like you say, we went along, and I got to meet all the distillers, all the people of these bottles that I see in the bottle shops. I'm getting to meet them and hear their stories. And like you say, I'm actually looking forward to going and buying some of their gin now. Right. Yeah. And so it's beautiful to watch that. Nice. All right. I think I know the answer to this one, but create a job for yourself or work for corporation?
Oh man, creator 125%. Yeah, I mean,
Do you miss it?
so it's a hard work. I'll be honest with you. I mean, being a creator is not easy. It's draining mentally sometimes because I compare the social aspect of our life like with a battery, and that social aspect drains that battery, right? And it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
For some people, our batteries are bigger than others, but sometimes you do need to take a break. But I would take that 100%. I mean, I work for a big corporation, as you know, that person alluded knows this. I work for a big corporation. You know what frustrates me the most is when I know that a process needs to be this way, but because of how the things around it are built, unless I'm going to spend the year, politically trying to convince internally people to do this differently, there's no way this is going to be implemented. Where on the other side, I make it happen right away. So 100%.
I hear you, man. Absolutely. It's that bureaucracy of, and again, this is the joy of open source, right?
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, it's something I
try. Did I get
the
question right, by the way? Did I get the question right? Okay.
You passed with flying colors.
My first language is French, so sometimes yeah.
Of course. So for everyone that wasn't aware, you're in Montreal, right?
That is correct.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Sorry, John. We just got to get you unmuted again. He had to hit the mute all. There's a troublesome character.
All right.
You got to love, we always like the energy of doing these things live, to have a bit of fun with it. But of course, it comes with its challenges.
Yep.
No, yeah. So French, so Montreal, French.
That's correct. Montreal, Canada. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful city.
That is, I mentioned to you in the messages, I went there for Cirque du Soleil and also the circus school and the rest.
Yes, that's true.
Man, the town, like Montreal was one of the most gorgeous, romantic places I've ever been to, and it was during the Indian summer, or I think they call it, where it's like, it just started warming up again before it got real cold again. And of course, keep in mind that I'm there with Cirque du Soleil performers. I'm there with crazies of their own kind. So my introduction to Montreal was pretty special. And I've always wanted to come back, man. It's such a beautiful place. So have you been there your whole life?
Come back anytime. No, so I lived in Toronto, in Canada. I've always lived in Canada. So I moved to Ottawa, moved to Toronto, and that's pretty much it. But I've traveled the world. So, I've got to learn, except Australia. I haven't been to Australia yet. It is on the bucket list. Definitely a country I want to.
Awesome, man.
You and I think we're having a quick discussion about this, about traveling and meeting Australians. For some reason, my culture, where I come from, and your culture, just like, we like magnets. Especially during travel.
Yeah.
Oh man, like I had the most fun with Australians. Like we were just like this.
Often joke about it, saying Canadians are the Australians of the North.
That's it. Yeah.
No, absolutely, man. Well, hey, honestly, anytime in Australia, you're welcome. And do you know what I'm looking forward to, Johnny? Is it feels like part, like every time there's a launching of something new, there's a whole new, like there's fresh people never done it before. There's people that are established and they all kind of get thrown into this pot and just get boiled up. And over the next, like you say, 5 to 10 years, who knows what comes? Like I saw you posting about a cruise, an influencer cruise on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I thought, and right now actually in BitClout, I can't remember where in America, but they're having all these gatherings all the time where they're all just coming together. And it's like, looking forward to some fun creations. But yeah, anytime in Australia, absolutely always welcome.
Excellent.
Now, some more questions, because otherwise I could just stay here with you for hours. All right.
Same.
Do you have any source of inspiration for your TikTok videos, and what is it?
I have the easiest source of inspiration. My 889,000 followers. Because that's it's the easiest. They leave the comments, they actually produce. They're my producers. My followers are my producers. They tell me exactly what they want to see.
Mm.
So I take their comments and I use them now. That's for me it's easy to say that now, but when you first start, use your real life. You can turn anything into comedy. If you're a comedian,
Mm.
like if you like to post, have fun on the platform, you can use your everyday experience to post things that are ridiculous. Like just even this not this morning, but just before I left for the boys for our boys weekend, my wife just said, can't you just put the lid down when you're done, on the toilet? And you just got to get the brain going with like the different angles of cameras and all this stuff. And then this just, it's an obvious one. This is like everybody's going to relate to that.
Yeah.
Putting milk in coffees, like people put some, and it's like, you just come up with those daily things of you do things, then you start to realize how funny you are. And the funniest thing is that, or the best thing is when you have kids, you have a boatload of those.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
You I'm a very visual person, and you sent me down a rabbit hole as soon as you said kids. It's like my brain just got flooded with like 1,000 moments that are TikTokable, right, about kids, and you just go, whew. You're right.
I mean,
It
just
really
to
is
give
just
you, before having kids, you don't know this. Like your baby, when it's born, it does. And I'm sorry, I think this is going to be PG. It's fine. There's a poo that comes out of that thing that is black as tar. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows this until you're a dad or a mom. You don't know that.
mm-hmm.
Man, this thing is caked to the baby for like
And
hours, and
sticky like
you're
tar,
like,
right?
man, that skin is gonna come off before that thing comes off. The meconium, they call it, right? The meconium. That
Yeah.
I didn't know this. Nobody told me. Nobody warned me. Not even the doctor. I'm like, dude, you didn't do. You fell at your job, like.
Yeah, it's something you kind of want to know.
Sorry, I had to
Oh
take it
man,
there.
no,
And people are like, what? What is this thing? Meconium. Look it up.
my cheeks are hurting from it. It's yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a whole world there. There is a whole. I think we're gonna have to do a
So
whole
that's why I'm
series on it.
saying use your daily, especially when you have kids. Like you gotta
Mm,
have those daily moments where you can share with the rest of the world, and just got
yeah,
to come up with the right pictures and stuff like that, the right angles. So you're good.
it's kind of relaxing, right? Like that's what I
It
find is
is.
it's kind of just relaxing and just having fun, as opposed to
That's it.
feeling like you have to achieve something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I better ask you some more questions. And by the way, I love that style that you're being led by your comments and things. And in a way, it's like I think that feels like so good seeing how you do that how their comments drive your content. And so I'm
Yeah.
gonna be studying your work a little bit to see how I can generate something similar. All right, let's see. You're working on a solid job. So you got your solid job, very serious position as accountant executive. Is that right? And doing
That's
great
right.
at TikTok, and now BitClout and family. Which
Yeah.
is the most important of your life, and how do you manage to balance all these things?
110%. You're a Mark. You're a parent too, right? 110% my family. You will
Absolutely.
notice at time that I will take. I care about my fans, but I care more about my family. And at time, I will take a week, 2 weeks. I even took a month. In fact, I took a month in June, from June to July, and I just came up with. That's when I sat down and came up with that concept of using comments with the proper structure and all this stuff. I took a break from social media. People were like, "Are you alive? Are you dead? Are you?" I would write them back. I'm like, "I'm perfectly fine. I'm just taking some time with family, recharging my batteries at the same time. And plus, it was COVID. Got to take care of the family about this." And so, um, yeah, I took a month off, and then came back, and that's when, by the way, it was way too much. Like I got from 150 to 700,000 in a span of 2 months or something like that. So I gained almost 550,000 new followers in just 2 months. Uh, that was a little, that was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, this is way too much. So I would
Mm.
go, this is where the unbalancing thing started to appear, where, I would go to bed at 2 a.m., wake up at 7 a.m., work my, do the, do the respond to comments and all this stuff, and then start work. And, I have religiously putting my kids to bed every single night, and reading them books. That's the process. As a family, we sit down at the table and eat dinner time. There's no social media. There's no cell phones. It's clean. I wake up in the morning. I like
Mm.
to wake up with my children jumping on me and crushing, making sure that I'm not having other children's. Um, so, and I love to take care of them in the morning, breakfast and everything. Those things, they're non-negotiables, and everything in
Mm.
between is negotiable. So sometimes I'll take a time off. What I really worked hard on, though, was to find a structure that allows me to film things very quickly and got basically in line with what I was trying to create on TikTok. And so when you look at the TikTok one-on-ones or the trend alerts and those videos, there's a thought process behind this that allowed me to film, edit, and post videos anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. So that was my goal. That was my goal. I said, we all have 24 hours. We got to sleep at least, 6. So how do I manage to squeeze as much and maintain my job, my career? We're a single income home. My wife
Mm.
stayed at home. She decided with the kids, to stay at home and take care of them,
Mm.
put aside her career and all this stuff. So I have a lot of respect for that. And she decided and stayed at home kind of the traditional way. So I have to respect that. That's the priority. I cannot screw around with my career, with my job, because there's a whole family that I need to take care of. So sorry for the long answer, but
Mm.
I'm actually very passionate about that one.
No, that was a perfect answer, man. And absolutely. It's something I've had to learn, like, because I'm a single full-time daddy. So I've had the boy since he was about 4. It's about 7 years now. His mom's still around.
Mm,
We're good friends, but she had another daughter, and life had its way. And I was blessed to have him full time. And it's so easy. It's so easy to caught in the stress of everything. This idea of like, oh, I need to get this done, then I'll have time for the family. And it was about 2 years ago that it really cracked home that it's like, can't work
yeah.
that way. There's got to be certain things that are just pillars in the ground for your own
Yep.
well-being as well as theirs and everything. So no, I appreciate that reminder.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have a good mate, because sometimes she'll say, all right, Johnny, like she doesn't call me Johnny, but she calls me Jonathan. She say, Jonathan, like, it's a bit much now. And, you got to come to also, we've been together for 15 years now.
Nice.
We get, when she says that, I know that's like, all right, I got to change something.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so put those priority. And I think this is a great question. It's a really, really good question, because I find a lot of people are just struggling to find that life work balance. And in hobbies, because let's be honest, this is a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yeah.
and it's hard to find that balance. It's really hard to find that balance, but those anchor, as you said, Mark, finding those anchors are critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope, man, that BitClout can actually help. This is what we're kind of hoping, is that it can start making it a bit more simple, simplifying the process of turning it from a hobby to an actual paid passion, right? Where you can actually be earning money doing what you love.
I want to bring a point about this, because only recently, and I'm not even sure I'm going to keep it, only recently did I start monetization. So I have a service where I'm actually, and this is not to promote it, but it's just like, I have a service where if you
Go
want to
for it.
take me apart, have a one-on-one session, we work on your strategy for growing on TikTok. It's only 1 month old that I started to do this. Before that, I would like just step on a call. Like what I offered with you, Mark. Like I'll step on a call with someone's asking me a question. I'll step on a call, come up with something. I never monetize this. And the reason why I never monetize this is because, I've been very fortunate to have a good career that puts money, I don't have to really care about the financial aspect of the world. I'm a very fortunate person, to be honest with you. And I've always been very well surrounded. So it didn't feel right for me to charge people for something that I think doesn't require a lot of effort. It just needs 1 hour session, all this stuff. The reason why I started charge actually is because some people would take a lot of my time and it just didn't it started to actually impede into my personal life. And that's why putting $1 against it, I'm like, now only the serious people are going to pay that kind of money, right? That kind of money. So half of that actually goes to charity. The other stuff it just stays for, put the lights on and all this stuff, like all the stuff that I have to pay for Johnny Blue Eyes. So it's the operations basically. So for me to have and to talk about BitClout, and there's a financial aspect of it that I don't necessarily have to ask for people for money, that I can just be on here and I'm not asking for it. If you believe in me, you put your money from your own will and it'll be reinvested and all this stuff. I'm like, that's exactly my brand. That's exactly what I don't have to ask for money. Right. So that's why
I totally resonate with what you're saying then. Yeah, I hear you. Because it takes that away. And in a sense, like they can make money too. It's like in their own interest. It's like almost that. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's that's super cool to hear. So on that note,
yes.
Just saw Alex put in a little message because I realized time is precious as a family man.
Thank you.
Do you have any announcements? Is there anything you're doing? Anything you want to do a shout out to?
Well, shout out to you, Mark and Alex. Honestly, great program. You guys are very, you have a good structure. I love the questions. That's awesome. But one thing also, because I've been asked a lot of questions about when am I going to talk about it to my audience. So there's a couple things as a creator before announcing to people. I mean, my BitClout account is in my link in bio. It's there, but I wanted to learn, obviously, where am I sending? So, now you start to know who I am as a personality. So I don't want to send people where they could get financially, have some financial issues. Like, for example, that person that bought 7 Johnny Blue Eyes at first and then dumped it, a lot of people that invested at the top lost their money. So I'm like, I still have to figure out the platform. Give me just a little bit of time. Let me figure out the platform, get control over that Johnny Blue Eyes so it doesn't, spikes and bottoms and all this stuff. And it will, but I mean, try to control it as much as I can so that it continues going up. And also, I was pretty adamant about that verification. I'm like, I want to get this because if I'm sending someone and their incentive is to invest in me, I want to make sure that they invest in that right people, that right person. So it wasn't about the status. It was more about, I don't want people to get scammed. I would feel horrible if a family out in the middle of nowhere that has barely enough money to put, on the table, they see me and they're like, oh, this is a great opportunity. Put their money into a Johnny Blue Eyes. That person runs away with their money. And all of a sudden they can't put food on their table. I know obviously this is an extreme case, but it can happen here.
It's a real case. Yeah.
So
no, Johnny, what you're saying there is very, that's the responsibility we actually need on this platform right now, not rushing people in. Otherwise, it's going to have the wrong effect. People are going to run away saying, I got robbed. Because you got to be responsible and accountable. And there's some bits and pieces that people don't understand at first. And
so I can't
think of a better person to learn it. Sorry.
Exactly. I'm going to put a little idea in the feedback jar of BitClout. I think there should be a double verification, or there should be a verification and a status. Like if you want it, because that check mark is both a verification and a status, right? Because someone that has a status, it's kind of prestigious, right? It's got a prestigious part of it. That's the status. But then the verification is just, hey, that person is the person that we're telling you it is.
I think I hear you.
Exactly. So I think that probably maybe what they should do is create that double standard, which is verify that it's the right person. Yes, you are. And it could be a little icon that is small, or, whatever the design is, and then have another one beside it that says, yes, that status is, whatever, if that's important to them.
Yeah, well, this is something that, and by the way, hit me up anytime. I'm happy to jump on a call with you. And you can just drill me with all your questions and the rest. Because I've been watching and listening in the background of all the bits and pieces. So I've got a general good idea of how the systems are running and things. And so anywhere you want to do that, man, I'll jump and help. And because it is, there are things that are already in place. There's, and in a way, it's they're trying to find that balance because they kind of want to shut down BitClout.com and get it handed over when it's sooner than later. They're really interested in BitClout, because there's already third-party apps. You've got Clout Feed, Flick app, and a few others there. You've got nodes popping up around the place, and so they're kind of just waiting until if on those nodes decide who gets verified in their own way, right?
Yep.
So it's only BitClout.com. So it's more of a temporary kind of stage where and it is a good conversation. It's going to be great having your input.
Okay.
Yeah. And as you bring that, what you're sharing even just here is actually good feedback and contemplation, because we are all as a community going to have to work out what is verification in this new world of decentralized social media and how do we want to see it? Yeah. But in the meantime, we're going to be putting a good word in for you as well. It's one of those things of there's influencers that come in and then they kind of get all excited and they run off again because they don't quite get it. And so I think there's all kinds of things that go on, but you definitely are somebody who deserves that 100%. You're legitimate, verified TikTok. You're out there smashing it. So we'll make sure, and I think really they just want to see people active and engaged. So we'll get that cranking for you, Johnny.
All right, Mark.
All right, my friend. I think, as much as I'd like to stay, we'll do it again.
Getting to know you more, obviously we had a quick, you gave me a little bit tidbits of your personal life too. So I appreciate that, to get to know you at personal level a little bit. And I'm sure we're going to have good conversations in the coming days too.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sorry to jump in. Jonathan, do you have 1 more minute? We have Lisa who was the whole way with us, and she's got a question.
Absolutely.
Lisa, are you ready?
Fantastic.
Oh, yes. Hi, Johnny. Nice to meet
Lisa.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got a question for you. You're very prolific with your engagement on TikTok, and you make all your followers feel special. You respond to every single comment, and
I try to. I can't say I am, but I try.
Yeah, and I've noticed since you came to BitClout, you've appeared in Clubhouse, you've come to the Nacho average and everything, and to quite a few people are getting excited as well about your presence on the platform. And I was just wondering, do you have any special way that you're going to be engaging with your followers and coin holders?
So
as yet, after you've got
so sorry, it's because I'm getting my brain, because there's a lot of stuff that I've already kind of mentioned. So I think there's going to be there's a social aspect of it, and I'm not going to change my approach. I intend to hopefully answer it depends how big it gets. I'm one man show, and I don't, some influencers start to hire the, assistants and all this stuff. And I'm not there, first of all. And I find it's disconnected to have someone else answer your followers, right? It's wrong. I get that an assistant can be helpful when there's like repeating comments. So that's fine that, comments about, not personal questions, but like, for example, on my TikTok, there's questions that are constantly coming back. I'm redoing some of the videos, but some people, want to know the answer, which is already on my TikTok. It's just because the formats, it's really hard for them to find the video. So I'd like to have someone that could link back the video to their comments and say, hey, just go check this video. It's all there. So I'm going to continue engaging with directly, and it's me that you're seeing behind Johnny Blue Eyes as much as I can. As I said earlier, the pillars are there. Like, my family is my most important, but then I'm going to be here as much as I can. I'm going to be you know, I'm thinking about the financial aspect, which I have already some ideas. I'm going to be running some promos, so, you know, for, I don't know how those are going to be perceived, but I'm going to be testing around with the numbers and see how that works. And then there's, you know, I've already kind of mentioned about the fact that people don't have to pay me anymore. And so I'm probably, as soon as I start to send more and more people here from the audience that I have, I intend to create a VIP or whatever you want to call it, you know, where you can get access to me one-on-one, like, or direct messages or stuff like that. Kind of a more, you know, those people that are actually investing in me quite a bit, they have special features. Yeah, they can get special access. So that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your, you know,
hey,
and thanks for the
question.
follow as well, you know, so yeah.
That's the thing. It's funny because when I started on TikTok, I mean, and I'm still today, you know, I'm a guy in the basement with a phone that is in front of his face. So, you know, it's funny the reaction when you start growing and people are reacting to this. And it's funny, someone made a comment about me being an influencer, and I'm like, I'm not an influencer. They're like, yeah, if you say something, people are gonna maybe act on it. And I'm like, okay, all right. But you know, it's interesting because I like to follow people. I like to see their creativity, and sometimes I will watch the video, go on your page, and just like comment, say, hey, I mean, it's better than me. Like, I just gotta say, maybe you want to adjust your light, maybe you want to try this, maybe you want to try that. So super happy to follow you, Lisa. Sorry, I talk a lot.
It's great, Jonathan. So one idea for you, how you can engage with your community on BitClout is you can make one NFT with your TikTok video where you propose something. So think about it. It might be fun.
Alex, we're going to have more discussion about this. I'm glad you bring this up because, you know, I at first, I just wanted to, I don't know, like test things on my own just to see like if I can figure out. But now, you know, Mark mentioned a couple things. Alex, right now you're mentioning a few things, and yeah, if we can spend a bit of time and do maybe, you know, some exchange, and it can help you with TikTok, and you can help me here.
Happy to help, man.
Good, perfect. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm curious. You just piqued my curiosity now because I know I've bought NFTs, but I don't know how they work, to be honest with you. I've got to learn more about it. And one thing that amazed me about BitClout is actually the community of artists on here. It's great. I love it.
Yes.
And
well done.
You know, the NFTs and the way that digital art is being demonstrated is so creative, so many different ways. So yeah, I'm curious to know a bit more about it.
Well, looking forward to sharing more, Johnny. It's it really is. It's just a rabbit hole full of surprises. It's like Alice in Wonderland. And every time something comes along, once you understand how it works, it just opens up the potential of what you can do. And you, my friend, are just full of resources. Like, I think, you know, with you coming in, just being that bridge in a way into TikTok as well. And you'll be able to start finding new ways, the two can play together really nicely and inspire the rest of us. So really looking forward to that.
All right, Johnny. I'm inspired by everybody here. I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Lisa, hey, thank you for tuning in. And that was an awesome question. Alex, thank you for all those questions, my man, and taking care of this room and helping keep us safe from those dodgy characters that jumped in earlier. And we'll see you on the platform, Johnny. We'll keep having fun.
Yes, sir.
We'll have a call soon.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. Yeah. There we go. Let's NFT that.
Exactly.
All right. See you, Johnny.
Take care. Thank you.
See you, everyone.
Alex. Bye-bye.